Oh, yeah, that one little fast.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you like an extended invocation by Zareen?
Yes. Escanta. You got it. Good evening, council members, ladies and gentlemen. The Zoroastrian prayer is probably only about 30 seconds, so I'm just going to actually give a little introduction about Zoroastrianism and then lead the prayer. The teachings of Zarathustra are for the achievement of enlightenment, returning to the source. Being a Zoroastrian is a way of life and is not defined by nationality nor ethnicity. In the Zoroastrian philosophy of life, we thank the goddesses and gods of the natural and spiritual worlds through ritual and prayer, but we do not invoke them to guide us. What we invoke is our conscience to make the right decisions. We believe that wellness comes to those who bring wellness to others, and we carry out our intentions with good thoughts because our first manifestations are in thoughts and ideas. Good deeds because actions are the initial embodiment of thoughts and good words. And with that, I put into the universe that we draw from the virtues within us for the victory of Spanta Mainu, our constructive mentality, over Angra Mainu, our destructive mentality. And I pray for the entire creation and for the generation which is now alive, and for that which is just coming into life, and for that which shall come thereafter. I pray for that sanctity which brings prosperity to every living being and leads to the well-being of all our community members, no matter where they are from, and for a free Palestine. I close with the first gata, or philosophical prayer. Asham bohu vahishtam asti, ushta ahmai hiat ashai, vahishtai asham. Righteousness is the best good. It is radiant happiness. Radiant happiness comes to the person to whom righteousness is for the sake of righteousness alone. May it come to what is brimming with love. Thank you.
All right, roll call.
Councilmember Scott, Here.
Councilmember Wright,
Here.
Councilwoman Ramirez,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz,
Here.
Mayor Buildering.
Here.
All present.
Change the agenda? None? All right, announcements. These proceedings may be viewed on demand on the City of Twentynine Palms website, www.twentyninepalms.org. You may also live stream this meeting by going onto our website and clicking on Media Agenda link. Awards, presentations, appointment, and proclamations. Number one, presentation of Twentynine Palms boys baseball. Anyone here for them? All right. They did cash for trash, picked up some, I don't know what they picked up, but we will get them their money to them. And next, Rotary Club. I don't see anybody from the Rotary also, but they also did some community cleanup too. So we thank both of those organizations for what they did to keep our community clean. Moving on to number two, proclamation recognizing June 2025 as Juneteenth Independence Day. City of Twentynine Palms proclamation, Juneteenth Independence Day 2025. Whereas Juneteenth, also known as Juneteenth Independence Day, Emancipation Day, Emancipation Celebration, and Freedom Day, is the oldest known celebration of commemorating the end of slavery in the United States and has been celebrated by the black community for over 150 years. And whereas this day, June 19th, has special meaning and is so-called Juneteenth combined with the words June and 19th. It marks the time to appreciate the African American experience and encourage the continuous understanding and respect for the suffering of slavery. And whereas it is a time for reflection and rejoice and a time for assessment and self-improvement and for the planning the future. And whereas residents are encouraged to join together in celebration of freedom, family, and community by embodying the spirit of peace, respect, brotherly love, to honor and salute our city's rich cultural legacy and diversity. Now, therefore, be resolved that the City Council of the City of Twentynine Palms does hereby proclaim June 19, 2025 as Juneteenth Independence Day. We recognize Juneteenth Independence Day as historical significance to the United States and support the continued nationwide celebration. We call upon all residents of Twentynine Palms to take this opportunity to learn more about the past, better understand experiences, and then shape the United States and recognize the observance of the end of slavery in the part of the history heritage of the United States. Dated this 10th day of June, 2025. Don Pritchard Sutton. Number three, proclamation recognizing June 2025 is LGBTQ Pride Month. City of Twentynine Palms proclamation LGBTQ Pride Month 2025. Whereas the City of Twentynine Palms is a welcoming community and an exceptional place to live, work, and visit. And whereas the City of Twentynine Palms is strengthened by the diversity of ethnicity, cultures, racial, gender, and sexual identities of its residents, all to whom contribute to the vibrant character of our city. And whereas the nation was founded on the principles that every individual has the infinity, dignity, and worth of the City of Twentynine Palms Council calls upon the people of this municipality to embrace this principle and work to eliminate prejudice everywhere that exists. And whereas, while social and large increasing support of LGBTQ equality, it is essential to acknowledge that the need for education awareness remains vital to end discrimination and prejudice. And now, therefore, be resolved that the City Council, City of Twentynine Palms, does hereby proclaim June 2025 is LGBTQ Pride Month. In support of LGBTQ community, we call upon the residents of Twentynine Palms to recognize the achievements of the LGBTQ community, plus the community, and celebrate the great diversity of our community, dated the 10th day of June 2025. Zeke, is that Wade?
I just want to say thank you to this community for having me. As a queer person, I've had a lovely time and I've met just really wonderful people. I couldn't be happier here.
Thank you.
And also June 22nd on corner 62, 2 to 6:30, we will be having Pride in Twentynine, so please come out and have a great time with us.
All right, thank you. Number 4, presentation from the Community Events Grant recipient Friends of Historic Plaza and the report of Historic Plaza's seasonal event series. No, me, all good?
Stone, you're my PowerPoint. Oh, Cindy, perfect. Perfect. I'll just give you a little point. Oh, yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. Perfect. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for allowing me to present. My name is Jimmy Brower. Most of you know me through various avenues of the city. I'm a resident here in 29 Palms, a local business owner, vice president of Rediscover 29, our business association in town. And as it relates to this presentation, I'm one of the 4 directors for Friends of the Historic Plaza, a new nonprofit that is about to turn 1 year old. Together with my partner Damien and our small business peers in the audience, we founded this nonprofit as a way to fill the void in the necessary historic preservation and revitalization of the historic plaza in both physical form as well as perception in residents' minds. While our workings over the last year have been primarily events focused to drive foot traffic back to this historic place, we've attempted to swing some of the spotlight back on this culturally significant place for our city for all to enjoy. We've also embarked upon other pillars of our mission, which include advocacy for the appearance of the space, which has included landscaping, building facades, lighting, signage, and wayfinding. Additionally, we work to promote the existing businesses in the space by amplifying their services and offerings through a new website found at thehistoricplaza.org, a new Instagram at The Historic Plaza, and Facebook page. Through the Community Events Grant Program, Friends of the Historic Plaza was awarded $10,000 to produce 4 events in a seasonal event series. There we go. Needless to say, we used every penny of it, or are about to, and I'm very proud of the work this organization has done for the residents of 29 Palms. So let's begin the presentation. Our event series, our marketing, all of this was done in-house by one of our 4 directors. We all equally contributed, which kind of showcases the caliber of events that we have produced and plan to produce in the future. Our first event was the first annual Pioneer Days Classic Car and Motorcycle Show. This was on October 20th during the weekend of our city's Pioneer Days. Some of the attractions for this event were the Classic Car and Motorcycle Show itself, food and beer garden from the Cactus, live music from Melancholy Babies, raffles for all of our show voters, carnival games for kids, and a pumpkin patch donated by Grocery Outlet. The numbers for this, a little analytical data is always great to support these types of events, especially whenever we're looking at city-funded dollars. Our car entries, 45. Voting ballots, we had 147 voters. Our attendance for this event was approximately around 1,000 people. We gave away 170 free pumpkins to kids, which was great, and 1,000 carnival games were played by kids as well. And we had an amazing volunteer count of 12. Some further analytics about our show participants and show voters. 70% of those were from 29 Palms, 22% were from Yucca Valley, and 8% were from Joshua Tree. Those were our show participants with their classic cars and motorcycles. Amongst our show voters, we had 70% as well from 29 Palms, 12% from Yucca Valley, 7% of out of county, 3% from Bloomington, 2% from Joshua Tree, and 1% from Wonder Valley. 5% were also unspecified. Here are some photos from some of the attractions, live music from the Melancholy Babies, food and beer garden from the Cactus Bar and Grill, and some of our real smiling faces, including our fearless mayor, Bill Durain. Thank you so much for presenting. The kids with their carnival game prizes, some of our winners from our classic cars and motorcycles. And then a big thank you to all of our sponsors, donations, and those people involved. The list is very long, but a lot of gratitude goes into creating some of these events like this. Our second event was the holiday market on Sunday, December 15th. Attractions included a notable Palms and Paws adoptable dog pop-up event. It's very important to note the statistics whenever it comes to the adoption rates that we saw the week following the event, which was 12 dogs adopted, 10 cat adoptions, versus same week last year, which was 6 dogs and 4 cat adoptions. I think this goes to show whenever our animal shelter really pairs up with well-oiled events, such as the ones that we're producing through the historic plaza, we can really create positive community engagement and see that reciprocated in the actual foot traffic back into our animal shelter. Among other things, we had the snow machine. We gave away 100 free photos with Santa, as well as free stockings. Mojave mini donkeys made an appearance. Also live music by Los Ponchos Tones. And we have holiday lights, which are now a year-round installation on our palm trees. The number breakdown amongst our crafters, makers, artists, and designers, we had 2017 from Twentynine Palms, 4 from Yucca Valley, 2 from Landers, 2 from Palm Desert, 1 from Bermuda Dunes, Indio, Morongo Valley, Palm Springs, and West Hollywood. We approximated around 500 people attended the holiday market, and a cute Mojave mini donkey. Other photos from the event, live music, Los Poncho Tones, food and drink from Cactus Bar Restaurant, and the lovely family from Taqueria Las Palmas. And then some other photos of our vendors, the snow machine, Mojave mini donkeys, and lots of smiling faces. The third event in our series was our Chalk Fest and Art Fair. We held that on Sunday, May 4th. While we had some unanticipated precipitation, it actually worked in our favor to cool folks down on an unusually heated early May date, as well as aid in some of our chalk artists tampering down of their chalk dust. So this was actually a blessing in disguise. The numbers, we had 20 total chalk participants, 8 vendors in our art fair, total attendees around 250, 6 winners with $700 in cash prizes given out. Some of the beautiful work. Our winners in our adult age group, beautiful works of art in Joshua Tree, as well as in 29 Palms and Desert Hot Springs. And then our youth group, ages 10 to 17, all from 29 Palms. The top left is my favorite, for obvious reasons. Also our winners with their creations, and then a big thank you to our jury judges, Ted Mayer, artist and advocate, Dr. Stone James, our city manager, and then Paul Razzo, the PAC chair. Within the Chalk Festival and Art Fair, we also had free creation stations. Thank you so much for those involved, providing a safe space and ultimately creative space for our youth in the city. Really goes a long way in community engagement and keeping our youth active and safe. More photos, live music from Jesse Lionheart. A little bit of levity in this photo. Yucca Man Records and DJ set from Greg from Taqueria Las Palmas. Persevering while Mother Nature does her thing. And then another adoption meet and greet from Palms and Paul's Animal Shelter. Again, the week following the event, we had 4 dogs and 3 cat adoptions. Same week last year, 3 dogs and no cat adoptions. Some photos from the Chalk Fest and Art Fair. And then last but not least, our 4th event in the series, which we're very excited about, our backyard barbecue party happening on Sunday, June 22nd from 4 to 9 back at the Historic Plaza. We're looking to beat the heat and come out to enjoy a night of community gathering. please join us. This is the teaser, barbecue grilled favorites from the Cactus, talking about pulled pork as well as brisket from their smoker, live music from Los Ponchos Tones again, beer garden and cocktail bar. Will be closing off the historic plaza to all vehicles, so it'll be able to carry around your food and drink and enjoy the night. We'll have country line dancing, giant yard games, and a bounce house for the kids. And the cherry on top for this event is a mechanical bull, which I know this guy on the end here is going to throw his ring into the hat. So I expect to see Councilmember Octavius out there in full getup. And that kind of brings me to the end of our presentation. Established in 1928, the historic plaza has been a foundational part of the city for 100 years. With stories that spread across every generation of our community, it still stands today as a testament of our history and civic pride. We hope that this event series serves as an ode to 29 Palms. As we reach out for support from other local organizations and grow, we believe the continuation of this event series can bridge the gap between our city's history and its current renaissance. Above all, we hope that these events continue in the historic plaza's legacy and continue to create new memories for generations to come. Thank you so much, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Council, questions?
No questions, but well done. Thank you guys for what you've been doing and revitalizing the historic plaza. I'm totally committed to your mission. I really think, especially Mr. Paul Razzo, he's the person that gave this idea to me. But from Freedom Plaza to Historic Plaza, we're creating events for the entire community as well as visitors alike. And so, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have hand card posters if anyone wants one for this part.
Where'd Dejanay go? There she is. She heard me, yeah. Right, number 5, presentation by the Youth Council, a year in review. Oh, they got together, all synchronized. I like that. Young Dr. Stone right there.
Do I just keep it like this, or? Okay. Got it. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Isaac Coleman, and it is with great pride as chairman of the 29 Palms Youth Council that I'm here in front of the City Council to celebrate the end of our inaugural term. I'd like to take this opportunity to both celebrate the end of our first term and introduce my fellow Youth Council members who will be speaking today. Viviana Hermosillo, Truman Thomas Elkins, and Truman Walsh. When we began the Youth Council, we only had a guide to what the City Council was doing, but with no original plan of what the Youth Council would do. The City Council is responsible for adopting all laws and public policies, setting goals, and giving direction. Part of the direction they gave us was by direction for the City Council members, its manager, and our mayor on how to be effective leaders and how to work together as a group. With advice from them and our manager, Miss Amy, since it is a Youth Council, we decided to help and bring the youth a voice and a sense of community in our town. Our first big step was the bylaws. We had to set the ground rules for what the future Youth Council would be. From simple things to like setting meetings on time and our dress code, to what course our youth councilors should take. We also created a brand new logo, and we also had to create a mission statement. Together, we discussed the challenges our local teens face and learned how our City Council works together to grow our community. One way in which we tried to grow our community was by volunteering. We worked at the senior center to help out staff, and more recently, we enacted a food drive to help out for Feed 29 to help feed families in need. Another way we worked to grow our community was by putting on events for teens, since we found that there could always be more. So, the Youth Council put on events like the Youth City Olympics and Teen Astronomy Night, where teens could go to our local observatory and see the stars through the telescopes. One highlight of this most recent event was a teen that came all the way from Loma Linda to see the stars and our community. My friends and I also enjoyed this event a lot. We had really deep conversations about how the stars and our universe works with our local astronomer, Caitlin Gill. And before I introduce my fellow Youth Council members, I'd like to express my gratitude. Thank you to every Youth Council member for putting their time toward our cause and effort. Through hard work, we learned what it is to be a leader in our community in the best ways possible. Despite our struggles, we've put on some amazing events and we're learned to be more about ourselves. And that as individuals, each one of us can lead differently, but together we can make our town a better place. A special thank you goes to Miss Amy, where we couldn't have done it without her. She's given all of her time to us and helped set events, and she also facilitated connections with our community. And finally, thank you to our City Council for making all of this possible. We couldn't have done it. Serving on this council has helped me discover who I want to be as a leader in my town and in my future. I've learned how volunteering and creating events can truly make a difference. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce my fellow council members, starting with Viviana Hermosillo.
So first, the first project of our newly assembled council upon arriving early was the senior center. I immediately sensed a different atmosphere, quieter and more distant than I had originally anticipated. A few seniors gave me curious glances, and one kind woman asked if I was visiting someone. After I explained who I was and why I was there, we had a meaningful conversation. She helped ease the initial tension, and others soon began to see me less as an outsider and more as a welcome guest. I noticed right away that many of the seniors seemed isolated, keeping to themselves and engaging very little with one another. To help break the ice, we brought out games, and I performed the piano, as I'm sure you guys can see right there, as shown in the photos. As we spent time with them, their demeanor gradually shifted. We began to witness moments of joy, laughter, and engagement that had previously been absent. Their competitive energy surprised us all. They definitely didn't go easy on us simply because we were kids. We could all see the profound impact on the morale of the seniors. By our second visit, many of them were taking out chessboards and enthusiastically approaching us and each other. The atmosphere was noticeably more vibrant. This experience deeply inspired us. It affirmed our desire to serve and strengthened our purpose as a council, and motivated us to continue making a meaningful difference in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Viviana. As we continue, we move into the fall season, where the Youth Council participated in some of its first appearances, starting with the Halloween Bash, where Youth Council member Valoria ran several games, including the bat toss and the beanbag toss, in addition to handing out candy. We also participated in the Pioneer Day Parade, in which we carried the banner for the parade as well as our own, marking our first participation in a city event as a group. Last but not least, we took part in the Christmas Day Parade, in which we wore various costumes and once again carried the banner for the parade. Afterwards, we stuck around and took photos with the community, as seen here. Next up, Thomas, speaking on the Toys for Tots toy drive.
Thank you, Truman. Evening, Council. Long time no see. I'll try to keep this specific comment brief, as while it was very important that the mayor's toy drive was a success last year, we did not specifically organize that ourselves, but we did gladly participate. We're very thankful for the opportunity to participate in that and to give back to the community in a very literal sense. Councilmember Hargrove and I attended that. I was there personally for an hour. I think she was there a little bit longer. We were stocking tables mostly, organizing things, breaking down boxes, really just being there to keep the whole thing moving smoothly, while council members were, of course, guiding folks through the tables, getting bags full of presents. So this was the last event that the council specifically participated in during the winter season especially. But as soon as winter was over, we were planning the Youth Olympics. And speaking of that topic, I do have a list of the sponsors for the Youth Olympics here. If I can get that next slide, please. So the Youth Council City Olympics was made possible very much so by a very long list of sponsors from the community. We have Joshua Tree Sportsman's Club, Danny's Den Designs, Desert Ace Hardware, the Oasis Community Church, 29 Palms Inn and Campbell House, Groundwork Arts, Karen Martin at Farmers Insurance, Louisiana Famous Fried Chicken, Silver Hanger Cleaners, Twinkle Toes Dance Company, EL&R Vending, and Spread Pure Aloha Hawaiian Candies. These vendors were very much interested in demonstrating a willingness to invest in the youth of the community, and we really appreciate their willingness to do so. The fact that they were doing that speaks volumes to their community involvement, and without their very generous contributions, the Youth Olympics would have looked a whole lot different, to put it, well, to say the least. That's all I have at the moment. Councilmember Hermosillo will be back up to continue speaking about the Youth Olympics.
Thank you, Thomas. For the City Youth Olympics, we prepared for our biggest project by asking for sponsors and promoting for a month in advance, offering early registration and requiring pre-registration to have an adequate amount of snacks, drinks, and supplies available the day of the event. Using the city's rec desk system, 99% of participants signed up and a multitude of people amassing to 300 were present. The day was very active, as would be anticipated with such a crowd. There was face painting, people enjoying treats from Aloha Hawaiian Candies, singing and dancing along to the playlist curated by the Youth Council members, smiling faces, and laughter everywhere you looked. Comments shared by the public were that this event reminded them of simpler times, such as the 1950s, when families would go to the park and enjoy beautiful moments together, united. They also shared suggestions for our next Youth Olympics, including having a dunk tank featuring our city council members to bring out a greater crowd.
Thank you, Viviana. On May 10th, we also ran a food drive at Grocery Outlet, where we saw much success, collecting about 6 grocery carts worth of food, as well as handing out numerous pamphlets to help inform the community about this food pantry. We hope to continue doing events with the next Youth Council with them in the future. Now, on to Councilmember Hermosillo with our final events of the year, the Teen Astronomy Night.
Thank you, Truman. 1 second. The Teen Astronomy Night, held on May 23rd, was a successful event coordinated through the collaborative efforts of Stars the Limit, Astronomy Night Adventures, and the Youth Council. Preparation began with a collaborative site cleanup and observatory setup conducted by members of the Youth Council and partnering organizations. Attendance exceeded expectations with an estimated turnout of approximately 150 families and youth. You could see it with all the blackness. Those are all the people. Due to low lighting conditions at the site, an exact count was very difficult to determine, but engagement throughout the evening remained high. Feedback for the event was overwhelmingly positive. Prior to the event, community members shared their thoughts via Google Forms and in-person conversations, expressing excitement and anticipation for future Youth Council initiatives. The strong community response highlights the growing impact of the Youth Council's outreach and efforts.
Thank you, Viviana. Before I get into the final comments, I do want to mention the awards and recognition that the Youth Council has received with this term, if I can make the microphone work. So the first cohort of the City of 29 Palms Youth Council received awards from California State Senator Rosalisi Ochoa-Bo. That was at, I believe, our last meeting here with you guys, actually, recognizing and commending us for our dedication, leadership, and outstanding service to the City of 29 Palms. That's her words, not mine. But that's that picture right there. And then Don Rao from the San Bernardino County Board of Supervisors sent us certificates of recognition. We do have a picture of that there at our actual last meeting with Mr. Reyes. Thank us for our service to the community and wishing the council success in future endeavors. And again, that was her words, not mine. And as we go to a conclusion, I do have some final comments here. This evening I want to thank all of you for listening to the presentation, for one. We wanted to take this time to give a final full report of what we, the Youth Council, have been doing this entire time, seeing as we've ostensibly been busy, right? We wanted to mention a few other small things that didn't warrant their whole entire slides just because of lack of pictures, or simply because they weren't huge events. Things like the JT55 run, where we did participate there. We were running a water station for them. where a couple council members ran water stations. We had opportunity also to participate in leadership training with a representative from the National Youth Leadership Council. We did that virtually a couple months back, and that was a valuable team building and leadership exercise. That was a lot of fun, actually. This council has definitely been a work in progress from the very beginning, but we've all learned a lot about leadership and teamwork and made connections and memories that will last for a long time. I have high hopes for the future of this council, both for future planned events and for future cohorts of the council itself. We also want to extend our thanks to all city staff who came out to our meetings to talk to us and to impart their expertise. From city council members to Parks and Rec staff to the city manager, we value and appreciate everyone who came out to work with us, and community members as well who came out to speak during public comment time. Their input was also very appreciated. We also want to give a special thanks to Parks and Rec Director Carrie Minitre, who is not here tonight, but she did come out and help run a couple meetings when Amy was unable to in the early stages, and was definitely a huge help for initial development. You know, when we were first getting started, her leadership of the department was very helpful for all of us. And then, building off of what was said earlier, I want to give a special thank you to our council advisor, Miss Amy Tessier, who did a wonderful job as our advisor. She was great at communication and coordination. She always had meeting agendas and minutes ready, and I can't think of anything that wasn't done amazingly and on time. And I want to publicly thank and commend her for that, because without her work, the Youth Council would not have gotten nearly as much done as we did. With that being said, I want to take this time to thank the City Council, my fellow Youth Council members, and the community of 29 Palms for your support. And I want to wish the incoming cohort of the City of 29 Palms Youth Council the best of luck for the future. Thank you all.
Thank you. Wait, we're not done.
Vivian,
You're not done.
next slide, please. Thank you. Welcome back.
Excuse me, y'all. I'm actually going to ask that Miss Amy also joins up here, if you wouldn't mind. Is that okay, Councilmember Scott? Awesome. Good evening, y'all. My name is Dejanay McNair, and I'm here on behalf of State Senator Rosalicio Ochoa Bogue. So thank you. Not only did we have certs made for the kiddos, we had a whole resolution made to commemorate the city and Parks and Rec specifically for the first inaugural class. So on behalf of State Senator Ochoa Bogue, myself, and the entire California State Senate, I want to congratulate and commend you on this amazing cohort and all of the invaluable events, community efforts, and the things that these kids are going to be able to do in the future and all the future cohorts. Y'all did it. Congratulations. Yeah. Another picture.
Thank you, Dejanay. Drive safe. Council, any comments? Nope. You want to say them? Go ahead.
That was awesome. You guys did amazing presentation. Sometimes part of politics, people don't realize that we get asked really tough questions. So I'm going to leave you guys with one tough question. Who is your favorite council member? No, I'm just kidding. Totally kidding. Thank you, guys. It was a real beef between us. I was like, I'm the favorite. No, they're the favorite. I brought them Starbucks. No, I was there longer. So just, yes, absolutely.
Hey,
Good job.
don't hurt her feelings. We know who it is.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, once again, council, outstanding job. I look forward. You guys beat all expectations that we had. I know it's a new year, but you guys did it, nailed it. Next cohort has some big shoes to fill for those returning. Those newbies, they're going to have some big shoes to fill. So congratulations. Look forward to everything you guys are going to do next year. We all good, council? All right. Moving on. Council comments and reports of meetings attended. Councilwoman Ramirez.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. I went to the Morongo Unified School District Summer Meal Program kickoff. I also had a really successful meeting with NPHS. As we described, they are a nonprofit organization that really focuses on housing. They have so many different programs that are that they run through there that are just very successful. They're ranked number 2 in California. We talked about a owner-occupied rehab program, grants that they have, small business grants that they have, grants that they have to make your home ADA compliant if you need that, manufactured homes, other grants and loans, and they can also help with up to $100,000 in down payment assistance for anybody that wants to be a homeowner. So lots of great things. And then I also met with some constituents about small business permits, budget questions, and TBID concerns. Thank you.
Councilmember Scott?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I attended the Morongo Basin Unified School District Summer Meal Program event as well. It was well attended, and I met with several constituents regarding various topics in the city, and went to Toastmasters meeting. And don't forget, we actually have our Juneteenth festival that's going to be coming up this Saturday at 11:45 a.m. at Knott Sky Park. It's always well attended. It's an event for the entire community, and I will be giving the welcome speech for the festival this year. So I'm deeply honored. Thank you.
Councilman Wright?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended the Morongo Unified School District Summer Lunch Program as well. I was there early, and I guess I didn't stay long enough, but I did make rounds, and I had me a white peach. It was good and all that good stuff. And just getting ready for Warhawks football. So season is upon us, so we got to get ready. All right.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I attended the school district summer meal program. They also, besides just having the lunch out there, they had a very good lunch, but they also had lots of fruit, and they showed some of the food that had been given away this summer. And they also had resource community booths there. The CHP was there, the sheriff, the fire department, and a whole bunch of the county resources were there. So the school district really went all out to put that event on to make sure everybody knew that there's a summer meal program. Oh, and I also got to ring the dinner bell because somebody was late. We won't mention. Okay. Sorry, Mr. Mayor. I went to the actual high school graduation, but I also went to the Black Rock their scholarship day. Got to give away a scholarship to one of the students. Went to the SBTCA meeting in San Bernardino. Some good things coming up with that. I'll have more information later for that actual that came out of that meeting. I met with the mayor and Miss Carey from the Park and Rec for community grants, and then I think that's all, Mr. Mayor.
That's it. Thank you. For the record, I wasn't late. I was right on time. They went early. There's no time to ring the bell. They just decided, let's do it now, and I wasn't there. So, but thank you for ringing the bell for me. Thank you for being there for me. There's no pictures, so is there a picture of this? My picture's there too. There. Yeah. All right. Congratulations to start off with all the high school graduates. Good luck in your future. The world is large, so go out there and take owners. I had a meeting with citizens. Attended the high school graduation, Twentynine Palms high school graduation, summer meal kickoff, and a CBGD meeting with Mayor Pro Tem. And that is all. We all good? All right. Consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are to be considered routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately by the City Council. The public will be given an opportunity to comment on the consent calendar items prior to the City Council action. Council, anything?
I'd like to pull number 8.
Polling number 8. Hey, council, anything else? Nope. Public? Nope. Back to council.
I'll move the consent calendar besides number 8.
Second.
Councilwoman Ramirez?
Aye.
Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Scott?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz?
Aye.
Mayor Bildery?
Aye.
Approved 5-0 minus 8.
All right. Number 8, benefits policy.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem. So this is an opportunity for the staff who are fluent in Spanish to be able to interact with our community, provide any translation services, explain any forms. And so this is something that is typical in cities. They will provide a stipend to really recognize or honor those staff members that have that level of proficiency, that level of skill. Currently, it is set as if you meet the criteria for this proficiency, can you read it, can you speak it, can you translate, it is $25 per pay period. So that would roughly translate to about $650 per year.
Is there anything else to this? Just that's the only thing that's in this benefit package?
Well,
There's more to it, but I was specifically.
Oh, well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I apologize. So I had spoken with, would you like to just explain that?
So I had called Dr. James when I was looking at the benefits package. Something that probably the general public doesn't know about me is that English is not my first language. I actually didn't learn English until I was about 9 years old. So making sure that it's 2025, a language barrier shouldn't be something that is keeping somebody from access. And I want to ensure that everyone in our community has meaningful access to the services offered by the city. In order to achieve this, we need to be intentional about recognizing and rewarding the work that supports this goal. One critical area is language access. Our bilingual staff plays a vital role in breaking down barriers and making city services more inclusive and accessible. To acknowledge their contributions and encourage continued engagement for our diverse community, I propose a $20 a month increase in compensation for all bilingual employees. While this may be a modest step, it reflects our commitment as a council to fair compensation and building a city where language is not a barrier to opportunity or support. In doing that, I looked at the bilingual pay comparison for our neighboring cities. The city of Hesperia gets $50 per pay period. The city of Hemet gets 5% of their total pay rate. Cathedral City, if they were hired before July 1st of 2022, they get 2.5 of their base pay. If they were hired after July 1st, 2022, they get $85 a month. Desert Hot Springs gets $152 with 53 cents per pay period. City of Indio is $75 per pay period. City of Victorville is $50 per month. And City of Beaumont, their employees actually get an extra $1.50 per hour for being bilingual. And again, I recognize that it is an extremely modest step. It's what we can hopefully afford. And I just want to make sure that we have these resources available for our general public, and that our staff is compensated somewhat appropriately.
Very good. So if there's any other questions that the council has on this agenda item, or if there is a motion for that adjustment to the bilingual pay.
Council questions? No. Public?
This entails for anyone who can speak another language. By bilingual, you mean entails anyone who can speak another language besides English, not just the Spanish demographic, correct? Okay, that's fair. Thank you.
Back to council.
Is it, it's all employees, right? Or is it, is it admin style employees, or is this also for employees that are, blue collar?
Thank you for that question, Councilmember Scott. This would be for all employees that are able to, that are proficient enough with the additional language, stereotypically it's Espanol, that they would be able to receive this.
I appreciate that. I was just recently looking at a social media post from the city, and I had realized that it was actually translated into Spanish too. And so I appreciate that, and I agree with Councilwoman Ramirez that we should be doing everything possible to make information available to all of our residents. And so I support this.
I'm going to make a motion to increase the bilingual pay rate to an additional $20 per month.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Councilwoman Ramirez,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz,
Aye.
Mayor Bildery.
Aye.
I
Approved
did it for
5.
you.
Approved
I had
5-0.
a deeper voice from him. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, 5-0. Public hearings, number 11.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, members of this community. Tonight in front of you is the proposed master fee schedule for fiscal year 25-26. As you may recall, the original master fee schedule was adopted back in May of 2020 and has been adjusted by CPI ever since. All of the fees listed, with the exception of the sewer fee and state mandated fees, were adjusted by 2.5%. Which is the consumer price index for Riverside, San Bernardino for the 12-month period ending on March 2025. The development impact fees in the planning department were increased by 2.78% based on the change in the engineering news records construction cost index for July 2023 to April 2025 as recommended in the transportation impact fee study. Since most of the fees collected at animal control and parks and rec are still being collected over the counter and in cash, the fees were rounded to the nearest dollar for those specific departments for the convenience of the public. Other changes to the master fee schedule include the addition of a business license reprint and the per hour private swing party fees for groups between 101 to 200 people. The proposed fees are lower than the full cost of providing the services. For instance, for the business license, to reprint a hard copy of a business license, the cost is about $40.08. However, the recommended fee is only $23.90, which is about 40% less than the full cost. The fees and the fee schedule were developed in accordance to Prop 28, which states that rates must be based upon the proportionate cost of providing the service and not to exceed the cost of providing the services. Rates must be fair and equitable, and a ratepayer cannot subsidize another ratepayer. The recommended fees in the master fee schedule are either at or less than full cost recovery. To put it into perspective, the program revenues for animal control and community services only bring in about 13% of the department cost. For community development, it's only it's 59%. So as you can see, it's and that doesn't include overhead costs like finance, IT, or HR. So the recommendation tonight is for the City Council to approve the amended city master fee schedule for fiscal year 25-26.
Council questions? None? Open to the public?
Thank you, Abigail. Is it possible for you to look into the pool fees of $4.50, that if somebody is a low income that lives in our city, that their kids get a free pass? Because most of those kids, what they do is they ride the bikes and they come into our pools at the hotels, because that fees of $4.50 is quite high. Thanks.
Anyone else from the public? No? Close to the public, council?
No, there's no discussion. I'll make a motion. We accept the changes to the fee schedule and adopt the new one.
Second.
Councilwoman Ramirez,
Aye.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz,
Aye.
Mayor Bildery.
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
Number 12?
This is really going to be the Abigail show this
Yeah, it's
evening.
all her.
Thank you. I'll try to keep it short, but yeah, there's quite a few items for me tonight. So I'll start with the proposed general fund budget for fiscal year 25-26 and 26-27. Just as background, as you may recall, I brought this general fund budget back in May 13 as a preliminary review only. Tonight, I'm recommending the adoption of the general fund budget. However, if it doesn't get approved, we still have one more meeting left. However, I would recommend that it gets approved tonight because it has to be approved before July 1st, 2025. So just an outline that I have for tonight. I know it's a lot of items, but like I said, I'll try to be quick. Some of the items I'll be covering tonight is the proposed projections for the 2 fiscal years, the revenue sources, and operating expenditures for each of the fiscal years presented, departmental expenditures, discretionary items, the events and recreation activities proposed for fiscal year 25-26, and at the end I'll give you a list of all the recommendations that I have for tonight. Regarding the strategic planning goals, this is still a work in progress. However, I would like to highlight that being that the preliminary plan is for the council wants to focus on the city's financial sustainability. So I'm happy to report that this 2-year budget incorporates some of that fiscal sustainability for the 2 fiscal years. And as a summary, the proposed 2 years include a surplus of $137,000 for year 1 and $4,000 for year 2. The city's top revenues for fiscal year 25-26 continue to be property tax and low vehicle license fees, property tax, TOT, and sales tax. Regarding our operating expenditures, law enforcement continues to be our highest operating expenditures, and that's for fiscal year 25-26. The contract and additional costs associated with the law enforcement fees are projected to be at $6 million, which is about 42% of the city's total operating budget. Salaries and benefits are at $4.2 million, so that equates about 29.4% of the city's operating budget. Contracts and consulting equates to 6.6% of the city's operating budget. And this is just a table showing the historical law enforcement contract costs. Again, this is just the contract itself. That doesn't include any overhead costs like overtime or maintenance of the vehicles and equipment used by the contracted deputies. So as you can see, in fiscal year 2018, 19, the cost was only $3.7 million, and the cost has been increasing significantly over the past past 8 years or so. The most significant increase was in fiscal year 23-24 when there was the addition of a sheriff deputy, sheriff detective. That increased the budget for the contract by 12.1%, in addition to other COLA adjustments that the county had. But so that was definitely a huge increase. And so from there, it just seems that it's going to continue to grow as is projected for fiscal year 25-26 and 26-27. And you might see a small increase in this in fiscal year 25-26, and it's mainly because the county is going, it's undergoing a just a county-wide, they're reviewing their MOU, so that there's going to be an increase, definitely. It's not going to affect the entire fiscal year, but it's going to most likely going to affect the rest of half of the year of fiscal year 25-26. That's why you only see a 1.4% increase. So hopefully we stay within budget, but once we, once December comes around, we'll know more information about the exact increase that we'll see. Regarding city's historical COLA, the COLA for fiscal year 25-26 was actually lower than I had anticipated. So that was great news, for the city, because it's definitely when you add 2.5% increase to all of the salaries, it's a significant increase. So it's only 2.5% for fiscal year 25-26. 26-27 is only an estimate of 3%. So we'll see where inflation goes from now until next March. So some of the payroll changes effective July 1st, 2025 is that COLA increase of 2.5%, and also the longevity pay that was just approved as part of item number 8, and I'll include the additional $20 per month for bilingual pay. That was not taken into account, but I'll definitely include that for projections. And just to go a little bit over the longevity pay that was not talked about during item number 8. So the longevity pay will be based on milestones. So every time an employee reaches a given year of continuous service with the city, they'll receive a one-time payment. So if they complete 15 years of continuous service, it's going to be $500. For 15 years, it's going to be $1,000, and for 25 years, it's going to be $1,500. And that'll be effective July 1st, 2025, and there's going to be no retroactive payments for that. For the departmental expenditures, I just put a table with all of the expenditures by department. The items highlighted in red are items that went over 10% change compared to the prior year budget. The city council budget is increasing by about 23.2% or $15,000, and the main reason for that increase is a proposed increase in the current stipend of from $465 a month to $950 a month. And Senate Bill 329 was adopted in June of 2023, which amended the compensation schedule for the city council, and that schedule hadn't been adjusted since 1984. So that's why there's such a huge increase from 465 to 965. And so I just wanted to point it out that this is for projection purposes only. This is this change still has to be approved by council in 2 separate meetings. It has to be a public meeting. So again, this is just for planning purposes. But I wanted to make sure that that I included that in this year budget. So for fiscal year 25-26, it'll be effective January 1st, 2026. And for fiscal year 26-27, it would be effective for the entire fiscal year. And some of the other changes in the non-departmental budget, the decrease is mainly because we don't have any transfers out right now as we had in prior years. And that would most likely going to change after we have an established strategic plan. But that's mainly the reason why that department is 15.9% lower compared to the budget for 24-25. For community development and code enforcement, so you can see a decrease in community development of 14.7% and an increase of 15.4% for code enforcement, and that mainly has to do with the reallocation of $31,000 of that housing fund for abatements. And also in community development, the housing grant, or the housing, not housing grant, but the housing and homeless activity program was decreased from $50,000 to $25,000. So some of the discretionary items in the budget include $50,000 for additional pre-funding of pension liability, contributions to nonprofits, $75,000 for each fiscal year, housing and homeless program. Like I said, it was $50,000 in the past 2 fiscal years. Now it went down to $25,000. Grant writing services, $25,000. Crisis communication services, $16,000. And for the second year, there's going to be a projection of $15,000 for the city's 40-year anniversary. And as you can see, what's different on this table from the preliminary budget was the $25,000 for the community events. So that was actually reallocated. So it's it was $50,000, but $25,000 was reallocated to contributions to nonprofits. So it went from $50,000 to $75,000. $28,000 was reallocated to Parks and Rec, and $5,000 was reallocated to PAC. These are some of the events that are going to be happening, that are happening for not fiscal year, but for 2025. The items highlighted in green are they do have a line item in the budget, so I just wanted to point that out. And some of the major events that are coming up in June and July, we have the Juneteenth event, 4th of July, movies in the park, and soak up the fun, I'm sorry. For community events budget, like I said, we had some of the events have their own line item in the budget. For Pioneer Days, we're projecting $47,000, and that's mainly due to the city not being able to have the carnival anymore. So there's $47,000. JT 55, $17,000, $500. For July, $5,000. Veterans Day event, we alternate with the town of Yucca Valley, so that's why you only see $3,000 in 1 year. It's not that we're not going to do it the second year. We alternate with Yucca Valley. And the community events budget, the miscellaneous community event budget, has a budget of $28,500, and it's projected to be allocated for the community health and resource fair, holiday festival, international festival, and other events that Scott puts together throughout the year. So for reserves, we are projecting a surplus for each of the 2 fiscal years, and we're also in line, we will be in line with the city's policy for reserves. For fiscal year 25-26, we're projecting reserves of 77%, and for the second year, we're projecting reserves of 74%. So some of the items that are included in the budget are the city fees were increased by 2.5%. As I mentioned, the sheriff's contract for the second half of the year, I included a 4% increase and 5% increase in the second year. For liability and property insurance, we're projecting 20 to 22% increase from the prior year. Pension unfunded liability, unfortunately, has increased significantly, and that's why there's a request to continue to pre-fund the pension liability to get ahead of the game and make sure that in future years we don't have large significant increases, because those are required contributions. There's nothing the city can do about it. And then also a TOT audit that will cost approximately $17,000, and that will be for both hotels and BHRs. The items that are not included in the budget are the council strategic planning priorities. Like I said, that would be set at a later time. And also costs related to the potential ballot measure in 2025 for the 1% sales tax. And a full cost allocation plan, a comprehensive user study. That's approximately $40,000 to $50,000. And the sheriff's service specialist, that's not included in the budget either. That's going to cost about $108,000 a year. So the recommendation for tonight is for City Council to review and approve the general fund budget for fiscal year 25-26 and 26-27, and approve the employee cost of living adjustment of 2.5%. Approve the wage scale and classification scale for fiscal year 25-26, and approve the interfund transfers for fiscal year 25-26. The two transfers that we're recommending this night is $160,000 to the Capital Projects Fund for self-funding and $25,000 for to put on the street sweeper reserves, up to $120,000 a year. And that concludes my presentation.
Council, questions?
On one of your slides at the bottom, it said that 3.3 million, if it was used, it'd still keep us at 55% is what we're saying.
Yeah, so if you, assuming that the operating expenditure stayed at $14.4 million and in that 1 year, you can use up to $3.3 million.
Thank you.
And on my staff report, I disclosed that it would be recommended to maybe not go lower than 65%, just because of the.
So what would be 65%, just off the top of your head?
I did the math. I think it was like $2 million or $1.8 million, something like that. I'm sorry, I wrote it in my notes, but I forgot.
Okay, thank you.
The fact that you can do that math in your head is impressive.
Any council?
I just want to thank the budget committee for their work on this. I think that it's well balanced, and I know that we've transferred funds from our homeless program to code enforcement, but I think it's actually made up by putting money into the into our nonprofits, right, and our service providers. And so I really appreciate the work that's been done by the budget committee, and this is a budget that I can support.
Council, regular. Yeah. You good? No? All right. Open to the public. Vicky Wade.
I'm here to speak to the item in the budget of community event grants. And for those who don't know me, I'm Vicki Waite, 35-year resident of 29 Palms, and I am speaking on behalf of our nonprofit organization, the Joshua Tree National Park Council for the Arts. We are a respected 501c3 based in the city of 29 Palms. We have a local board of directors, including 2 former city mayors. We host the annual Joshua Tree National Park Art Expo in November at 29 Palms Art Gallery, which features 50-plus artists from the high desert, low desert, across California, the United States, and Canada. Our juried exhibition and opening weekend celebration attracts and enlightens hundreds of residents and visitors. I sent you all a letter saying this earlier today, but I want to read this into the record. The City of 29 Palms has been a sponsor of our Joshua Tree National Park Art Expo since the inaugural event, and this November is our 13th annual. Former city manager Joe Gazzetta got our event added to the city budget in 2013-2014, right next to Pioneer Days, which back then was hosted by the Chamber of Commerce. So we were equally sponsored events, right? In fact, on the economic development page of the current city budget, a line item that says Community Events Promotion Art Expo is still there, even though there's no money behind it. Last year, we were told to change from the regular budget and apply for our event grant funding from the new Community Events Grant Fund, which is listed on the Community Events page 24 of the city budget under line item Miscellaneous Community Events. We dutifully completed the online application and supplied all required materials, and we were granted $4,000 for our event. This year, we've been waiting to apply, and I've been calling Carrie and Scott, like, when are you going to announce that we can apply for our grant? This year, we needed to ask for $5,000, but now I have learned that the City Council wants to reallocate the $50,000 Community Events Grant Fund in the city budget. At this late date, that's my point. With no warning or concern for local event organizers, Contrary to the preliminary budget you released in May, you now propose reallocating $50,000 for other purposes instead of community events, except those organized by Park and Rec. I feel blindsided. We've been counting on the city for annual sponsorship, and now it's too late to ask for more money from the T-bid or the PAC. Their deadlines passed in April and May. So what are we supposed to do? I'm not alone. There are other event organizers that feel this. I understand you want to divert the money elsewhere, and I know it's for a good cause, for our community services, nonprofits, right? But to do it at the last minute is unfair to us and other community event organizers. Our event was created in 2013 with the park to celebrate the art and artists inspired by Joshua Tree National Park and to promote arts and tourism for 29 Palms and enhance our quality of life. There was a time when the city council wanted more events, and ours became one of those events. It has remained a prestigious annual event that the city should be proud to sponsor. In closing, I just ask you to reconsider or modify your proposed reallocations for the community events grant funds for 25-26. If you want to change the budget for the future, fine, but consider that our event planning is already underway for 2025.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jimmy Brower? Sorry. Yeah.
Thanks so much for my time again. So my need for comment on this agenda item came as a surprise to me while I prepared our event series presentation, and now understanding that the community events grant program is planned to be dissolved. Successful signature-worthy events, such as the ones produced at the historic Plaza, are incredibly important to not only the free enjoyment of our residents, but it also acts as the only financial lifeline to our small business and nonprofit community that may not fall into the health and human services category. These grants offer a financial pathway to being supported by the city. To my knowledge, there are no other current financial incentive opportunities for small businesses to set up shop here as compared to our low desert cities. While we're unsure of the reasons why the community events grant is being disbanded, we are aware that the preservation and revitalization of the historic plaza via our 2024 and 2025 event series and additional efforts to maintain its sense of place in 29 Palms will be directly impacted, something that now contradicts our continued praise and recognition. The need to provide additional funding to other nonprofits that provide crucial services to our city and its residents is very important, which I advocate for a more rigorous vetting process on what organizations and businesses do receive those grants. However, removing the community events grant program sends a message of non-support to organizations such as ours that provide residents a diverse range of event offerings with a unique perspective, all done unpaid, which helps make 29 Palms a great place to live. Without the community events grant or continued financial support from the city, our events at the historic plaza will cease to exist. I strongly encourage City Council to reconsider allocating funding, possibly from Parks and Rec's additional grant to key community partners, such as the ones that you have already listened to tonight, as well as maybe other ones that are upcoming that have a proven record of producing signature-worthy events to continue building on the momentum currently in place. I'd like to just keep in mind that the community events grants, based on Abigail's presentation, makes up only 1.1% of the overall budget. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Back to council. Close the public.
Well, you know, I'm not picking on any certain one, but the JT one going into the budget back in 2013 obviously was approved by the council, but it's been a line item for that whole time, and it hasn't been. That one hasn't been scrutinized like all the other ones have been for the last I don't know, 10 years. That, because they didn't go through the same program each year. The other ones we may go through to be pre-approved. So that was, you know, and I understand where she's coming from, Vicky's coming from, as far as if they were planning on it this year, then it would be, but we don't have to decide that tonight. We can approve this budget, and then we can, when we do in July, when we go over, isn't that when we'll go over how we're gonna allocate those funds, the actual funds, right?
I don't know. Is that when the strategic planning is going to be ready, Stone?
Yes, it will.
Oh, so then, yeah.
So we'll also have to go over the strategic plan money also, that's not in this budget also.
Correct. And then we can either make additional adjustments that same month, or bring it back until the mid-year budget adjustment and at the beginning of the next year, February.
Well, yeah, as we have seen over the last year, this is a living and breathing document.
Correct.
Us giving out money. So I would like us to approve this budget tonight, this one, and then we can, but I also want to, I will say that I want to revisit the, how we're gonna allocate this year's, community grant money. So they do have time, knowing next year it's not gonna be there. Or if we approve it not being there, that they can apply for the T-bid and for the PAC instead.
Yeah, just would like to make a comment that nothing on the budget is in perpetuity.
Right.
Things change, council members change, priorities change, so nothing in there. I mean, even my salaries maybe at some point will go away. I don't know. maybe AI will take over my job. So
yeah, I hope not.
So again, that just to show you, nothing in this budget is permanent.
Right.
It's a living document. So, and the events are not tied to specific organization.
Right.
I want to make that clear.
Well, yeah, and we were going to talk about that allocation in July. So, what is the resolution number?
It is 2510.
Okay. Well, I'm okay to approve this budget. So I don't want to keep speaking though.
I second it. Oh, did you make a motion?
Oh, I'll make if nobody else has anything to say.
Yeah, put that verbiage in for the.
Yeah, I gotta. You needed all of it, right, Abigail?
If
Oh,
we're gonna
yes, please, the
do verbiage
transfer especially.
For them, make sure that verbiage in there.
That we're gonna revisit it?
Yes.
Okay. I want to approve, make a motion for resolution 2510, approving the fiscal year 2025, 26, 27, general fund budget, including the following: annual spending plan, employee cost of living adjustment, COLA of 2.5, wage scale and classification schedule, inter-fund transfer of FY 2025-26, transfers from the general fund to capital projects fund to the following: 16,000 for self-funding and 25,000 to be put aside for future acquisition of the street sweeper, up to $120,000 for fiscal year. And then my recommendations, we're also going to revisit the allocating funds for the next year for community events.
Second.
It's 2509.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm not going to say it all again. I'm going to go back to
No, but
2509.
But I did want to clarify, it's 160,000 for the transfer, not 16.
Yeah,
You said 16.
I said 16? Oh, I'm sorry. I was 160,000,
Thank
yes.
you.
Second.
Councilwoman Ramirez,
Aye.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz,
All right.
Mayor Bildering.
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
Number 13.
Okay, that's me again.
Yeah, it's about to get read it.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor, council members, members of this community. So this is the the 2-year budget for the special funds for fiscal year 25-26 and 26-27. There's nothing really different from the last presentation that I did on May 27, so this will go relatively quickly. As I mentioned in the past, Special revenue funds were established either by city council or agencies to collect funds that must be spent for a specific project or purpose. And the intent is to add an extra level of accountability and transparency to taxpayers that their funds are going for the intended purpose. Again, just gonna run through these numbers. So the special revenue funds typically collect grants, some tax revenue, fees, and general fund transfers. For the tax revenue, the main sources are RMRA SB1 for overlay of roads within the city, gas tax funding, which is projected at $818,000 for fiscal year 25-26, and $822,000 for fiscal year 26-27, and then also Measure I local funds, $529,000 in year 1 and $544,000 in year 2. Some of the streets are going to be resurfaced using the 25-26 allocation from RMRA. Are going to be Ocotillo Avenue, Serrano, Foothill, and so that was actually a resolution tonight that was also approved. These roads have to be presented to the county and approved. So, and all of the funds have to be spent for that specific project. Some of the capital spending that we have include streets, parks, safety, and other projects. The total projected expenditures for fiscal year 25-26 is $14.6 million, and maybe some of the projects will not get completed this fiscal year, so they're going to get rolled over into the upcoming fiscal year. And we have projects like the Sullivan bike path. I mean, those take years to complete. We do have deadlines because we have received grants from either Caltrans or SBCTA, so we have deadlines to complete those projects. But those usually take 2 to 3 years to complete. Then we also have actually, I have those listed. So for street projects, we have the SR62 Phase 2B project that's projected about $1.7 million, and that's a combination of various sources, including grants and Measure I funding, roads overlay and chip seal. It's SB1 mainly, and Measure I funding that will fund those projects. Then we also have street repairs and maintenance, mainly from gas tax and Measure I. Street widening at Choya Avenue, $250,000, and street improvements citywide, $90,000 projected for the fiscal year 25-26. For parks, we have a couple of projects going on right now. The citywide channel trail, that's the design phase only, $439,000, and Lucky Park improvements, about $150,000, and that's going to come from CDBG grant funding from the county. For safety projects, we have the Split Rock Bridge. We're finally getting to that construction phase after, 10, 15 years. So just the construction phase is it's estimated at $4.1 million. And the bike path, the Sullivan bike path is $3.9 million, and that's a combination of general fund transfers and also SBCTA grant funding. El Rey Crossing is projected at $321,000. It's going to be funded with local Measure I, and we're also wrapping up the construction phase. Actually, the construction phase for the 2-mile and Adobe Road is being completed. That's just the finishing touches with the program manager that has to deal with Caltrans and make sure all of the documents are submitted, final documents that will close out the project. So that's mainly that $40,000. For other projects, we have animal control. The new shelter is not going to be $602,000. That's what we have right now. It's going to cost more than that, but that's what we currently have budgeted. And building upgrades, we have left out of the $200,000, we have $178,000 left. Senior center improvements, $280,000, and that includes the roof, a roof improvement for that facility. And then also the home key project, we have left $145,000 in grant funding, but we might need additional funding for that project. So, yeah, we're barely on the design phase, and that's already about $32,000, just the design only. So we'll see what's going to be the final cost for that project. Then the animal control requested a vehicle that was approved a couple of months ago, but we haven't received the vehicle, so we haven't made the purchase. So I'm transferring those funds for fiscal year 25-26 budget. Then also $50,000 for a wall repair, abatements, $50,000. Shade structures at City Hall, $45,000, and the street sweeper. That's not the acquisition of the vehicle, that's just the reserves that we're projecting for this year, $25,000. So some of the other funds that we have are the lighting and landscaping assessment districts at Historic Plaza and Desert Vista Housing. Then also the public access TV fund, which has a 1% fee collected on cable television bills to pay for access of information by the public. And then we also have the Tibet, which is 1.5% fee on all short-term overnight stays and hotels and BHRs. And we also have the land and landfill and land use fund, which is the Article 19 fees for city cleanup and recycling, and the successor agency, which is just basically like a debt service to pay for principal and interest associated with the Project Phoenix and administration of the successor agency fund. So the recommendation for tonight is for City Council to approve the resolution adopting the 2-year budget for special funds for fiscal year 25-26 and 26-27, as well as interfund transfers for fiscal year 25-26, which is mainly for the administrative fees of the 3 funds that are listed here: gas tax, Measure I fund, successor agency fund, and so it's $10,000 from gas tax to the general fund, and $10,000 from the Measure I to the general fund. And again, that's just administrative fee. To be honest with you, I feel like that fee is very low. So I'll have to see with the county if we can increase that fee, because we definitely spend more than that just administering those funds. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Council.
Yeah, thanks, Abigail. One thing that stood out to me was there's $45,000 for shade structures at City Hall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've been carrying that for a while.
I thought we voted to remove that.
Yeah, it came up years ago that to put some kind of shade in front of the door so it keep the front of the building cooler, but no one ever came up with a design, no one came up with any kind of, I thought we took that out.
But, yeah. But I thought
So-
I remember, well, 3 of us, I thought we voted that, like, just, we're not gonna do that because the money wasn't,
Yeah, because we were going to put way more money into it too, and we weren't really, we were more interested in spending it somewhere else. So.
I think
So,
it was
so for what it's worth, as a future agenda item, that has been, I think it's maybe item number 2 on the list. Just last week, we have discussed this as a team, and there was a mistake on our end, on my end, where I realized it was not the multi-million-dollar solar panels you were all looking for, but just simple shade structures. So we've got one team member who's going out for a gold, silver, and a bronze package to 3 different scenarios for shade
That's
structures.
for Freedom Plaza. Number
That's
2
for
is for
Freedom
Freedom Plaza.
Plaza,
This
yes.
is for directly in
gotcha.
front of right out in front of this door is what we discussed.
Thank you.
But I think we're right. I think we talked about just taking that completely out.
I mean, we
I
can
think what
take
the-
it out if you want, or if you want to reallocate it. I mean, it's just, if we don't use it, it just goes to the reserves, and it can be repurposed for something else.
Okay. So do we want to just keep that in mind, that $45,000 there when we move on?
Yeah, just as long as can we find that meeting where we validate that we did say no?
But no, we can reallocate that without having any kind of. We just have that when we have the meeting, we say we're reallocating that fund, right? We don't have to have a.
Right.
We don't have to do this right tonight. We just
I
know
want
it's
to make
there.
sure we do it right before people are like.
Or we can move it to the community. We can use part of it for the
So when we
community.
have the discussion with the straight structure of Freedom Plaza, we'll just keep that in mind,
Mhm.
that money is there.
Yes, right.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
All right, I'm glad you brought it up. That's the same question we had.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
we did.
actually, when the actual project is brought to the council, then there's
we-
a list of,
Right.
all of the sources that are gonna fund that project, and you can repurpose those $45,000 right there and then.
All right. Okay.
Thank
Do
you.
public?
Okay.
Hey there, Eric Menendez. Thank you, Abigail, for that report. And thank you, Council. I know today I was able to meet with Mayor Bilderain and Councilmember Scott regarding some of my concerns. I'm here to comment. Just one quick before I go off on that, it would be nice on the senior center if there's some budgeting for Wi-Fi for seniors, because we're so technology dependent and they don't have that there now. And I always find that that's other senior programs down the hill that we've been working with have that, and it would be a great thing. But I just want to kind of talk about it. Kind of ties into what we talked about today, is just looking in the future for our T-bid. One of the things that could potentially increase our revenue and so forth is if we do, when we do the renewal, whether or not they go to a 5-year or 1-year plan, is looking at raising that occupancy tax to compete with Yucca Valley. You know, one of the things that, like what Vicki Waite was saying was, you know, I agree. I'm not anti-T-bid, or no matter what you read in the papers or this. I'm just about making sure we're looking at that event grant money to make sure it's going appropriately to fund the projects we need. I have been looking at the warrant registry today with both of you that I met with, and I do have questions for Abigail, which I'll do it through email or whatever, just some line item things. But I just think if we look at what we're overlapping, and if the decision is made down the line to, there are different routes we can go with T-bid as far as the structure and so forth. I was on the 5-year committee last year, and I've been referring back to some of the notes and so forth with the consultant. And if we did look at this differently and either restructure the way the board is organized or somehow put it under the Parks and Recs, or I mean, there's just a million ways it could go. That could give us some more flexibility in funding events such as what Vicki and I would also like Vicki Waite was talking about with her program. And, you know, same thing with the PAC. You know, I don't think, I think that slide said on the previous one, 5,000 more. I don't know, maybe 15, I can't remember, my glasses don't work that well. You know, I think that, again, this is somewhere where you can we can look at how to make sure the money we're giving out, whether it's through T-bid or other funds, are done more effectively by working together. So I think that's it. I think I had one question for Abigail, but I can't remember right now, so I'll just email it when I can. Thank you.
Thank you. Close the public. Council?
What's the resolution number? I'll make a motion that the city council approve resolution number 2510 that authorized the adoption of the special revenue funds budget for fiscal year 25-26 and 26-27, interfund transfer for admin fees in fiscal year 25-26, $10K from the gas tax fund to the general fund, $10K from the Measure I fund to the general fund, and $26K from the successor agency fund to the general fund.
I'll second.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought somebody was going to do this.
Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Councilwoman Ramirez?
Aye.
Councilmember Scott?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz?
Aye.
Mayor Bildering?
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
Number 14.
Mr. Mayor, I have to excuse myself. I've abstained from this because my wife owns a business that affects this funds.
Don't go far. It's gonna be quick. Well, thank you again, Mr. Mayor, council members, members of this community. So this is the proposed Project Phoenix budget for fiscal year 25-26 and 26-27. it's actually also the sewer fund budget. Let's see. So as I had mentioned in the past, the Project Phoenix funds account for the activities associated with the city's downtown revitalization project. I'm sorry. And the fund was also created to account the cost of providing sewer services to a limited number of businesses within the Freedom Plaza. The Project Phoenix have about $185,000 still in reserves that are going to be allocated to several projects. I'll show you on the next slide. For housing funds, we have about $1.1 million. $1 million has already been committed for an affordable housing project. Some of the funds that are going to be, some of the projects that are going to be funded with that $185,000 include the storefront improvements, street furniture for $29,000, and I believe last council meeting, Councilmember Scott mentioned something about shades. So we can definitely repurpose that $29,000. And multiple purpose facility fixtures, $24,000. Public art, $15,000, and engineering service for crosswalk for $7,500, and that's just the design phase. For the sewer fund, we have a couple of projects working on right now. We have the USGS study. We're going to get a couple of grants and contributions from the 29 Palms Water District. The projected cost is going to be $2.3 million, and about $100,000 is going to be unfunded. So, but once we get closer to the project and getting an actual cause, I'll come back to request additional funds if are needed for that project. We're also working on the construction phase of the Project Phoenix Package Treatment Plant, which is projected to be $2.1 million, and $1.6 million is going to be funded by an EDA grant, and then the remainder is going to be city match. For operating expenditures, which include the maintenance of the sewer system and monitoring, is $82,000 for fiscal year 25-26. Like I said, there's probably going to be a need for $100,000 for the USGS study. That's still a work in progress, so I'll definitely bring something once we know more about the actual or projected cost. And that's pretty much it for my presentation tonight. So there's a couple of recommendations. The first recommendation is to approve the resolution for the adoption of the Project Phoenix and sewer fund budgets for fiscal year 25-26 and 26-27. And the second item is to approve the interfund transfer of $78,000 from the general fund to the sewer fund to subsidize the operating expenditures. As I had mentioned, the operating costs are projected to be about $82,000. However, the sewer collections that we're getting from the small downtown area is only about $12,000. So the general fund has to subsidize the rest. And that concludes my presentation.
Council, questions? Nothing from public? Public? You have your paper?
Actually, I'm going to.
Mr. Vino, go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks, Mayor. When you think the bleeding of the operating expenses will stop?
I'm sorry, say that again?
When you think the bleeding of the operating expenses will stop, where we got to keep subsidizing it? You're asking for the subsidy of
Hotel. That might help.
$70,000.
$7,000.
For the operating expenses, right?
Yes.
When you think you say, okay, now I'm fully funded, I don't have to ask for any more subsidy.
For the fees that we're currently collecting, I don't think that's going to happen in the near future.
Yeah. Can I have your paper? Can we get your paper for our records, please? That's it. Close to public. Back up here.
All right, I make a motion that we approve resolution number 2511, authorizing adoption of Project Phoenix funds and sewer funds budget for fiscal year 2025-26, in 26-27 and approve interfund transfer of $70,000 from the general fund to the sewer fund to subsidize operating expense for fiscal year 2025-26.
Second.
Councilwoman Ramirez?
Aye.
Councilmember Scott?
Aye.
Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz? Oh, he is abstain. And Mayor Pilgrim?
Aye.
Approved 4-0, 4-1-0.
All right, discussion potential action items, number 15, 5-year strategic planning update.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you for the opportunity to go over this. What I thought I would do is just provide you and the audience here, the folks at home, a brief update on where we are within the strategic planning process. And so the strategic plan, as we reviewed in April, really this was an opportunity to take a look at who we are today, where we'd like to go in 20 years, and then how do we, with that 20-year vision, how do we pull that back and come up with goals and objectives for the next 5 years? And the framework that we have been pursuing as a city, as a community, is to really clarify those values, the vision, and the mission.
You're done.
And that's it. So thank you so much. So we accomplished that, and we are continuing to work on that. But we did the heavy lifting on April 4th and April 5th. And now, once we had accomplished those items, we have moved into now the goals and objectives. And so really any good strategic plan is all about engagement, and that is stakeholder engagement. And that stakeholder engagement, of course, also includes council engagement. And so this is kind of a recap of how we have, through this process, engaged our community. So as you recall, on Friday evening, we had really what amounts to a SWOT analysis, department by department. That was an opportunity to bring the council up to speed on all of the kind of the minutia that the departments have to do on a day in and day out basis, as well as educate the community, give them an opportunity to see into how government works and how these different departments, how they're staffed and some of the priorities they're working on. Saturday, that really was, I thought that was a huge win. The opportunity for the council to have that forum, the interaction from the community, they had the ability to speak their comments. They had the ability to write down their comments. They even had small breakout sessions. And then, of course, there's also been a community survey, and we gave that a little over a month just to make sure that we had a good reach on that. And then ultimately there was a staff survey done. Council, you're very familiar with your participation and your involvement, because obviously you represent approximately 5,000 residents each. And so here is just a brief summary of what was gleaned from that time in April. What we're doing with this community survey, that community survey, the consultant, they are going to look to see if there's additional themes that need to be added to this. But this is kind of an abbreviated overview. And so some of the things I'll just call out just for the folks who can't read this at home, or if this is a little bit too small on the screen. And that is the biggest priority that was a consensus among all of the council and the community, was that we will be a place of financial stability to support the needs and new initiatives of our residents. Other things that really stood out was to build upon and preserve 29 Palms' small town, charming characteristics where community care and existing connections can flourish. And there's some other items up there that are I think, vital in terms of a vision. Some of the goals, as you can see, the first goal, again, financial stability. Second goal is improve local character, improve infrastructure, improve access to resources, local tourism, how do we support that, how do we grow that, community outreach and engagement. So right now as staff, we have been working on adding some of the objectives, some of the ways that we're going to accomplish these things. One of the things that was also added was how, as a staff, can we be more proactive in what we do? How can we support more training and really develop our ability to deliver on these items? So in terms of the overview of the overall process, this is kind of in one slide. This is how the process has been playing out, and this is how I see the process to continue to play out and ultimately come to a successful conclusion. So right now we're in the blue phase, second from the right, and that is the edit and the review. So as a team, we've been taking a look at, again, those things that the council and the community identified and coming up with steps, partnerships, things that we need to consider. And so the goal with that, and now that the community survey is done, is to pull things from the community survey and then ultimately take that back before you. We're shooting for the end of this month so that you can take a look at what is the draft of the plan that's really going to direct action for the next 5 years. And so our goal, again, is to have that by the end of June 24th for your review. We're going to work hard to achieve that. There's a chance it could go into July, but the target is the end of June. And then ultimately, based on your feedback, based on the community's feedback, then we're going to move to plan adoption in July or August. So one of the other goals here tonight was just to give an opportunity to kind of elevate the results from the community survey. There is a community survey, the summary, that's in front of each of you. I've got one for the city clerk. There is one attached to the staff report. And so I thought it would be kind of interesting just for some of the community to see some of that feedback, right? What is important? Some of the things that they had talked about, really appreciating, is the diverse population within 29 Palms, the weather, feel safe going out and being in town, love the farmer's market, and love kid-focused activities. And so there was a lot of very good feedback that I found in this report. Also, it asked people to prioritize. What do you value most about 29 Palms? Item number 4 was infrastructure that's vital. And again, this is how the community, the 262 people that responded, this was how they ranked it. And so since other was the highest ranking, I provided just some basic examples. New shelter for the animals. That's a reoccurring theme. And I hope that continues to stay really top of that priority list with if the city decides to pursue a tax measure so that we can have a facility that our community and our residents really need. Lastly, stable and vibrant, diverse economy should reflect the needs of the community. And so here are some of the things that resonated with the individuals. Activate areas in the city that promote a mix of uses that result in diversity of revenues, all the way to encourage new businesses that generate local, higher paying jobs. So I thought a lot of good feedback. These were just some excerpts. And as I mentioned previously, kind of where we're going from here is we are refining our thoughts on the goals and the specific steps. Those goals and those specific steps are going to be broken out into 1, 3, and 5-year goals. Some we can accomplish immediately. Others it's going to take a little bit of time. Some we may not even accomplish in 5 years, but it's important that we start building momentum towards those goals. And so then ultimately, like I said, with the plan adoption in July and or August. And so with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Council? None? Public? Go ahead. Do you have a paper? This is informational, really. This is informational. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Future council initiated items? Yeah. Number 3, we kind of worked that one already?
So number 3, I'm going to be reaching out to the city attorney to specifically discuss this, but really the abandoned homes, that's going to be more of a private property issue. And so that would really require us to contact the private property owner, see if they have a disposition strategy, and then ultimately, if we had the funds to go ahead and acquire the property and either rehab it or demolish it. But that is going to be just more of a specific discussion with the city attorney. Potentially, there's an opportunity to engage some organizations, and I believe a council member or two are engaging, have engaged, or thinking of engaging different entities that may be able to assist with that. But that is something that I think we're going to be moderately limited in our proactivity, just due to basic private property rights.
And then, can we take that off because we're working it? It's a project that's what's being worked now. It's not just discussion.
Yeah. Yes, we could.
All right. And then, how about number 6?
So.
Yeah.
We did.
We didn't vote on it though yet, right? Or did we?
We did.
It's not something. It was a policy they set, right? You guys, they're already doing it, right?
They
The
are
grant
on
number?
the grant agreement.
Yeah, so it doesn't need any official approval then? Okay.
Yeah, that's already implemented.
So we take 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got a lot of meetings.
On number 8, so Reach Out Yucca Valley, I have interacted with that group a few times. What I am hoping they can do is provide a presentation to the East Desert Regional Steering Committee. That is a subcommittee of San Bernardino County's Office of Homeless Services. That is an organization that is receiving some amount of funds, and that would be very appropriate to connect Reach Out Yucca Valley with them so that they could, let's say, have funds for the shower that they wanted to provide. And so that would benefit the city, and really that would be a more effective, I think, use of our city resources, and it would give it bigger opportunity to benefit the entire region, not just our area. If the council is still desirous of having Reach Out Yucca Valley come and provide additional presentation, we can certainly arrange for that.
We already have 2 from them, and you're already moving towards the steering committee, which I think that's
A more appropriate.
Sure, because we have our, and you know, if we're keeping our funding up with the nonprofit service providers, I think that offers an opportunity. What about number 4?
So real quick, I'd
Oh,
like
sorry.
to hear about 4. So are you comfortable with us removing number 8?
I am.
Okay. Sir, go ahead on number 4.
Yeah, number 4, reorganizing the homeless and housing committee. I think it really should, I mean, it's a discussion on it, but I really think it's, you know, maybe it's just a council subcommittee.
Okay. Why don't we take a look at that, and let me take a look at that, and I'll see if that's something that I can take action on. And since we're talking about generally all of these things, we are continuing to make progress on the Boys and Girls Club, and I think actually reasonably substantial progress. And so my hope is that in the next 30, 60, hopefully not 90, 30 or 60 days, we'll be able to have a more substantive discussion with the city council in terms of the funding gap, some steps that
Yeah, 'cause
these.
they haven't even come back with us any kind of proposal, right?
They have
have
come back with a proposal. Yes, sir.
Oh, is that the 16,000?
It's,
thought they haven't.
so
I
it's,
thought they weren't finished.
it's a gap of about 92,000.
Oh, 92,000.
92,000, so it's about 15,000 to, for startup fees. I thought it was actually 13,000, maybe it was 16,000 for startup fees, but then really the ongoing annual maintenance cost is gonna be just over 100. However, when you have kids that participate in the program, there's gonna be about just over $10,000 generated, so that would offset from the 103,000 roughly program costs, would bring it down to
Well,
roughly.
we probably should.
Yeah.
So-
Boom, boom, boom. Is that it? 10?
So we are, so that is that's a vital item that was theoretically ready to go to council within the last 30 days. There's some additional work on the staff report because I would like to make that more of an artifact. And so my hope is that is going to come before council in the next 60 days. There have been some planning projects that have taken priority, but that is something that the maintained road list and non-maintained road list is important, and we would just like to make sure that it is definitive and comprehensive.
Okay. 11, I know, just got on there last board, so.
Jamboree and affordable housing, we are still working to connect with that organization. That has proven to be difficult. And then on the neighborhood partnership housing services, we are tentatively got them scheduled for a June 24th presentation.
Perfect.
All right, thank you. All right.
Dun, dun, dun.
Council all good?
Good.
Nothing to add? Take 3 off, add 9?
Is there
No.
anything TBID maybe?
I'll wait on that one. Yeah. Public comments. This is the time for the public to address the city council on issues within the jurisdiction of the city council that are not on this agenda. All comments are being directed to the city council and shall not consist of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during their comments. There's a time limit of 3 minutes per person. If you haven't already done so, please fill a name and address slips and give it to the city clerk. The city council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included in the printed agenda. Public comments on specific agenda items will be deferred until consideration of the item on the agenda. Up first is Ms. Leanne Clark.
Thank you, Mayor Bill Durain. Leanne Clark, Action 29 Palms Chairperson. I wanted to bring to your attention that I've noticed an uptick on tagging going on in the community. In 18 months now, we've had a second mural tagged, and the mural that was recently tagged is over here at Maximiliano's Mexican restaurant, which is on the north wall. It is the mural number 13, Flash Flood, painted by Art Mortimer. And we are currently working on having it removed. We've reached out to artist David Green. He's very involved in our community. The last mural that I shared with you that went up at the Desert Ace Hardware building, he was the artist for that. Wayne Winicke's health has been somewhat compromised. We're working with him and getting some advice on how to remove it, but David is going to be the one to physically go over and do that. But I wanted to bring that to your attention because it was just January of 2024 with the large lizard on the east wall of the building on Highway 62 that was also tagged. And so my concern is we're starting to see quite a bit of this. It's not a massive thing, but I am noticing some small tagging on various buildings. But the fact that our public art is starting to be tagged is a bit of a concern. So I just wanted to share that with you, that we are working to get that taken care of. And also, we had a request from Councilmember Scott and seeing what we could do to work with the PAC in creating a public art mural art tour for the City Council, for the PAC, for the Planning Commission, TBID, and also to invite some special guests, Assemblyman Tom Lackey and Senator Ochoa Bowe, to participate as well. And so we will be working together to coordinate that in order to give you more information about the public art, what Abigail shared tonight of why funding is going towards our public art, and that way you're more informed in making some decisions to direct funding towards those areas. So, but again, I just wanted to bring the mural tagging to your attention and just to let you know we are working on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Carlos Blandon.
Hi, Carlos Blandon, resident. Mostly impromptu. I'm going to talk about Rite Aid, how they're filing bankruptcy. It's one of the only 2 pharmacies in town. We have New Pharma. It's a small independent pharmacy, so I don't think they'll be able to handle the caseload after they're gone. So the question is, what the city is planning to do to bring in another, I don't know, big conglomerate like a Walgreens, CVS pharmacy, because yes, New Pharma's great. It's new independent, but when you go out of town, you won't be able to transfer your pharmacy, your meds or anything else. So you're stuck in this endemic kind of localized pharmacy. So the question is, a big question in this town is medical services. That's what we need. I heard our council member is going to bring a LabCorp. That's going to be very essential. But also pharmacy needs, it's going to be very essential soon once that Rite Aid disappears. So I hope something's in plan. Hopefully the community developer is in motion, shaking hands, pushing envelopes around to figure out what we can do to help our medical services for our people here. Thank you. Also, last thing, I do believe that the Housing and Homeless Committee options should be public, because in this state, we had billions of dollars disappear for homelessness, and we don't know what happened. So if you go do these decisions in closed doors, you're kind of playing the same game. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric Menendez.
Eric Menendez. So I was just letting Leanne know that I had nothing to do with the tagging on the murals, just for the record. On that note, I'm going to try to keep it light here. I just wanted to talk. What? I yield my time. So, okay, well, can I start now? Okay. Yeah. So anyway, Eric Menendez, Joshua Tree Gateway Communities Alliance. So on that note, I did want to just kind of talk about community engagement and so forth. Again, thank you both for meeting with me today. I've been working on the regional approach and so forth, and I know after I was hoping Kurt would be here tonight just to make a few corrections, because I thought graffiti had to be if you did it all over the place. But what I was really, I did a message, and I take accountability for my actions, which I did at 10:30 that morning when I was attending a regional steering committee on the homelessness committee meeting, and I offered to turn myself in, and I had a discussion also with the city manager, and the officer decided to let me go. And anyways, when I got to the tourism board meeting, I guess something changed in the investigation, and I was again placed into custody, not cited and released like Kurt says. I was in custody for 8 hours and got to go to the hospital to have treatment against my will, because I was being treated for a side effect to the blood pressure medicine. But anyways, to bring all that back, it's just I definitely think we need to take a long, hard look at I was looking on our city manager's profile on the website, and there was the ICMA Code of Ethics. And when we're appointing people to these political commissions, like the Planning Commission, like the Public Arts Commission, the Tourism Board, they are appointees. And, just as I would in professional nursing practice, because now I have to get a criminal lawyer involved because of my arrest and new criminal record, I have to fight to get this expunged because of, it will affect my licensure ability. But when you look at some of the things as a professional nurse that as I go to get relicensed, if I'm going to move back into that arena, there are things that I have to be accountable for in my private life. So if I go into a public forum and shout fire, so forth, I could be held accountable, even though it's not in the course of my duties. So I did express my concerns regarding some of this stuff, and that's really all I'm going to say about it. I just want everyone to know here that I support this town, and what I did is I'm not anti-TBID, as Kurt puts in his article. As you know, I've been coming to those meetings since just shortly after TBID started, 2018, 2019. I was talking to Vicki Wade offline about some of this stuff, and they have a lot of good points if you go look at those old minutes. And I think that we've kind of lost the spirit of what TBID is all about. And I think we need to just we need more than 3 of 5 of them to show up to a meeting, especially when we're talking about this conversion, because it's wasted money. It's money that could be going towards these essential city services. And if it doesn't make you mad that I'm going to these regional steering committees and seeing these people asking for these social service, like reach out, we're talking about that. They do so much good work, and they're asking for such a little amount, but yet we don't have the money to give it to them, yet we have 20,000 here, 30,000 here to give out to money that's supposed to be spent in a specific way, mind you. So I just ask that when the TBID comes up for reauthorization, just look at it closely. Another big issue is the fact that they said they were going to have a meeting on June 12th, which is a Thursday, but that never materialized. I know one of my other stakeholders, she reorganized her travel plans to attend that meeting and couldn't. So thank you for taking that into advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thursday, but they always have their meetings the third Thursday of the month. June 12th is the second.
Audrey Philpott.
Thank you very much. Thank you, City Council members. I found this a very stimulating and interesting council meeting. And I am here today on behalf of the committee that is submitting a grant to the Levitt Foundation for the 29 Palms Music Series, which will take place in 2026, 2027, and 2028. And I know that Anna Stump, who's a member of the committee, has already made a brief presentation to you, letting you know that we would be coming before you again to ask for your support of our grant proposal. I'm very happy to report that we are now an affiliate of the Basin-Wide Foundation, which is supporting our grant application to the Levitt Foundation. And we would like to be placed on the agenda for the June 24th council meeting to further answer your questions about this grant opportunity and to ask for a letter of support from the council that would accompany our grant application, which we will be submitting on or before June 30th of this year. So that's why I'm here tonight, is to ask to be put on the agenda of the next council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. No. City manager's update. Come on up,
Thank you, Mayor. In fact, in front of you, you have a handout that I gave. Exhibit 1 will show you on March 19th, I sent an email to our TBWM director asking her if she knows anything about the Taiwan Starlux Airlines FAM group info in this in April. On March 19th, she goes ahead and say, Exhibit 2, we are working in the partnership with the FAM group. On March 20th, I get an email, Exhibit 3, saying I'm actually reaching out today to share the details of the exciting upcoming opportunity to showcase your listing property to listing international travel trade professionals as part of the high-profile Taiwan FAM tour group this spring. Exhibit 4, March 21st, I asked Brianna, can you please share when you received this request, and why do we have such a short time to get back to you? Exhibit 5, March 21st, she goes on to say she had received this on this Thursday morning and sent this out within an hour to all the hotel partners. Exhibit 6, I sent an email back to her saying, it's very difficult for me to believe that you just received this information on Thursday morning and copied all within an hour. Exhibit 7 shows that we will get a copy over to you right away, okay? Exhibit 8 is very important. On March 11th, she received an email saying, it's wonderful spending time with you in LA last week. As per our conversation, please find the agenda for 2 separate FAMs. Now, I know there's a lot of people that come here and talk what a great job Brianna is doing. Yes, because those people get to see the cookie jar and put their hand into the cookie jar. Whereas a guy like me, I have to scavenge hunt for the cookie jar. Mayor, I'm looking forward to you giving me a call, and let's try to resolve this in a nice, amicable manner. Otherwise, I'll be forced to go down a path that I don't like to take, it'll be a big negative for both the city and me. We'll be putting good positive time into negative time. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, city manager update.
Thank you, Mayor. So really, actually, the city manager update was contained within our discussion of the future agenda items. So I mean, unless you'd like to hear it again, and
No,
I'm
we're good.
happy to repeat it.
I got the slide on my man now.
Do you know any songs? I said, do you know any songs? I was just kidding.
All right. Some admin work, July 8th and August 12th, there will not be meetings. Put that down, get it out to everyone. July 8th and August 12th, no meetings, okay? I'd like to adjourn this meeting to, in memory of Christina Diane Foley. I adjourn this meeting. Pastor Foley's mom.
Huh?
Pastor Foley's mom from Reset, or Set Free.
Christine Fuller? Christine Diane.